wealthier women in commercial real estate to give to humanity without limits. Welcome to Ladies Night with Stephanie. I'm so excited to present Bibi Ofiri to you today. If you do not know her story, you are in for a big surprise. She's really been through the ringer. And I'm going to let her tell her story and how she became literally from nothing, built something up, and then literally nothing again, all the way to full-on empire, just killing it in multifamily right now. And Bibi, go ahead and take the stage as the entrepreneur and movie buff that you are.
Hello everyone, it's good to see everyone here. My name is Bibi and I'm not yet to do any training. It took me some time to decide to do this, and my elder sister was the one that said, I think you have a story, I think you need to share it. And the point here for me is just to inspire people, nothing more. Let me start from the beginning. My parents are missionaries. They moved into the US almost 30 years ago. And I'm the third born. I'm from Nigeria. Apparently, they were not able to bring us here. So my parents came here and they had to file their papers. You know how immigration goes. But before they could get it, we're already above the age. So we couldn't come here. So we were stopped. Parents were in abroad, kids were in Nigeria. So that's how we grew up. What I decided to do was, if you're from Nigeria, 90% of the people from that country are educated. In now, you must go to university. That's just how it is. So I was in school 5 years, became 10 years. And during the time of strike, I was like, what do I do? I need to do something because I had this plan, but I didn't know what to do. And unfortunately, my dad died in the church. In California. He was the breadwinner. He died, so that was like a turning point for me. And for us, that was what he said he wanted. He said if God wants to take him and he would like to go in the church in his house. And maybe somehow God heard his prayers, and that was how he left us. So that became a turning point for me because he was the provider, really. He was the one anchoring the family. My mom was basically a wife, nothing to it. Before he died, I was able to get 4 properties in California, good areas and all that. But after he died, my mom wasn't communicating with us. We didn't know she was grieving. We didn't know she has abandoned everything. So she ended up losing 2 of the houses. Remaining one was a church. Nobody knew. She was just calling us and we felt everything was fine until I got the opportunity to visit. When I came down to visit in 2015, I realized that her phone was always ringing. She wasn't picking. So I was like, what's going on? Why are you not picking your call? She said, I don't mind them. I said, who? She said, the bank. I said, what's going on with the bank? She said, they're calling me for the mortgage. I said, okay. So what's happening to the mortgage? She said, don't worry, she's handling it. So I came for a 3-week visit, so I left. I finished my first degree in Nigeria as a project manager technologist. That was the course I studied in Nigeria. Then after a business, and that exposed me because that's one of the lowest parts in real estate. People don't recognize it, but it's very important in real estate, especially for my own part. So we were always starting at the point of when you're building the frame. So I end up seeing engineers, architects, and all that. I see them on site. So that was my starting point with real estate. So I did that for a while. It was a real struggle, because I didn't have the money, so I was just trying my best. Then a friend of mine called me and said, I see what you're doing. I think you're doing well. Why don't you apply for this grant that the government wants to give? And try that and see. That was another defining moment for me, and I'll tell you why. So I went ahead, I did the competition. It was a tough one because we had more than 2 million contestants in the whole of the country doing it. So I was just doing it. I didn't even know that I was going to even come out. But in it, I learned some lessons because it was like a detailed business plan of what you said you want to do. They can't just throw money at you. You must provide a detailed business plan. So I did that, and in it, there's a part that they said, draw your vision. So I knew the end of my vision, but I didn't know the route. That was a very funny part. So I drew my vision without a clear path, but I drew the destination. And what did I draw as my destination? I drew a big mansion. And I named it Clean Home. That was the name of my cleaning business. In my mind, I was thinking that was the goal. Maybe my cleaning business was going to lead me to that empire. That's what I thought. I didn't know that there were going to be different routes to that place. I kept on and going like that. Then fortunately for me, I won the grant. The government gave me 10 million. That was a defining moment for me again. So the 10 million got me a span. So I was able to buy equipment, was able to buy vehicles, employed workers. So I was doing great. I was working at the international airport because I had staffs there. I had staffs everywhere. I had staffs in the best of the best areas there. So before I knew it, I got to my peak and I was not satisfied. And this was what it was for me. When I'm getting too comfortable at a position, then it means I have to move. That's when I know that, no, you can't stay here, you need to upgrade. So that was what it was for me. It was not as if it wasn't comfortable. Everything was going on. We're making good money. But I was like, I can do more. So that was an uncomfortable state for me. So I had to move. So I decided to go into facility management, that's property management. And that's how I started my journey. So I had to partner with someone that had the experience in the technical part of real estate. He knew the electrical, he knew the plumbing, he knew everything about that. Whereas me, I knew how to get the customers, I knew how to get the location. So we teamed up and we formed a team. So I brought all, because I had retainers, I had customers, we synergized and we became one. And that was how we started expanding. We started seeing ourselves in what do you call it, malls. We're in the malls, we're managing estates, people's properties, both commercial, we're managing banks and insurance. And that was where we were at that point. So everything was going on. We were just figuring it out and going like that until I got pregnant. In 2018, I came here to deliver my second child. I was supposed to be here for a month and 2 weeks. That was the plan. After my pregnancy, I was supposed to go back. That was it, right? When I got here, I realized that two things happened. My mom, the phone call she was having in 2015, apparently she had not sorted it out. A few weeks to my delivery, I got a knock on the door. I went to open the door. I saw a sheriff. I was like, hello. He said, I opened it, foreclosure. What? How? I'm almost due. I was pregnant, I was almost due. And they said they're giving us 1 month to leave. Okay, so what do we do? I went into labor a week after. Unfortunately for me, my daughter was in the hospital. She was so sick and they said it's 50-50 chance. So I was dealing with that and dealing with foreclosure, right? And my business was in my country. So everything was just like upside down at that point. So what I decided to do was, okay, I need to figure it out. So my daughter was in the hospital in ICU. So I went back home to start packing up because they won't give you an extra day, rather they'll throw out your things. So there was no money. The only money I had was for my baby's delivery. And to deliver, if you're foreigner, you're coming here to deliver, you should have about 10,000 or more. So that was all I had for my child. So we came back, we started packing, and I was like, where do we go to? We said, let's go to church. And our church, you know the way churches are, sometimes they are not insulated. It's not for living, it's for service. We packed up and my daughter was released from the hospital, but it was still very intense. So I had to still take her to the hospital. In that process, I was still packing and we finally moved to the church. No insulation, no heat. There was no heater in the office. We were in cold. My mom's office, we had to convert it. We put a mattress on the floor. We took out the table. We were there for 3 months. That's how we lived. We had to go, my current employer at that time had to give me heater. So I took the heater And while I was doing that, I was working security jobs. I was also doing a kitchen. I was not even a waiter or a waitress. I was in the kitchen. You know, those people that work, you don't see those people, they're behind. There are people there. And I was one of those people. And you stand there for hours and you'll be washing dishes. It keeps coming. There's no break. And what are they paying you? $8 or $10 an hour. And you stand for sometimes 9 hours. I've stood for 14 hours like that. And I was doing that with security and I had a baby to do that so that we could feed. Because my mom was basically a wife. She didn't know how to hustle. So I was now the mother, father, everything to everyone. I would do caregiving in the morning, in the afternoon, I work in the kitchen, in the night, I go for security. So for me, it was the mindset. And all this time, all this thing was going on because I could not leave they did not release my daughter to leave the country. All this time I was with a 6-month visa and his visa expired. I couldn't go back. My daughter was not still feeling too good. My mom didn't have where to stay. Everything was just upside down. So it was like, am I going to leave my business that I've grown to this point and start here? Because when I came in 2015, I never loved America because I felt that it was overrated, in my opinion. That was what I felt because I went to New York. That was my first entry. And I was like, this New York looks like my village in my country. So what's the big deal about US? So I didn't want to stay. That was not my plan. I didn't like US. So I called my partner, my business partner. I said, it looks like I'm stuck here. But let's do it this way. We'll still be doing the business. I will be the financial bone or support from here where you handle the operations. And guess what he did? He sent me a letter and asked me to resign my position. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, resign. You're not coming back. So I won't be working for you to earn. So you have to resign. But after a while, because I'm a Christian, the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me and said, let it go. I did that for you. I'll do it here again. To him, I said, you can take that from me, but don't forget, I am the asset. I am the value. I created this and I'll do better. Watch and see. That was my to him. And he laughed and said, okay, no problem. I said, no problem. Don't worry, you'll see it yourself. So that was how my business went. I was stopped here. I started afresh. For me, it was the mindset. How can I be here? And all of a sudden, I am nothing again. I am like the lowest in this country. Nothing to me. Nothing. No money. So what I decided to do, I noticed that people around me, that's why we need to be around the right people. And that's why I like this community. People around me were just very myopic. They all wanted to just be doing the security job because they felt, I don't even know why they were doing it. So I noticed they were not going to school, they were not doing that. For me, education was very paramount, but not that I was going to work with it, but I knew that I needed it. So I applied for my master's in University of Phoenix. So what I did was, because I have to pay as an international student, for crying out loud, I didn't have papers. It was $40,000. I didn't have that money. So I was working, I was making like $3,000 a month. My school fees was $2,600. So I had to add more. So what I did was that I decided to pick a night security job, which I was already doing, so that I could read in the car. So my car was my school. That's what I did for a year and a half. That was my classroom. And the good thing was I came out with A's all through. It was very difficult, it was painful and really hard. So in the process of doing that, when God wants to do something in your life, it will make you uncomfortable. It takes everything away from you and make you start again. I didn't know that the vision I had, I told you guys from the beginning, I didn't know the path to get there, but I knew the vision. For the fact that I knew the vision, that was just it for me. So I didn't know that those things I was doing back in my country was going to help me now. I said, how do I mean? I was doing a lot of markets. In short, I was everything in that aspect. I knew business. I was into property management. I didn't know I was going to start applying it here. All I thought was that was my goal, but I didn't know that God was doing something around to just prepare me for the future. That was it. But it took me time to get it. But I didn't get it as at when it was happening to me. So when I started losing my job, I had 4 jobs. All of a sudden, I lost 3 in 1 week. I cried. I was like, God, 3? How do I cope? I went home. I went to my mom. I cried on her shoulders. And she said, don't worry, you get another one. Just apply. I was like, really? I can't do this. I could not relate my vision with where I was. So that was a battle for me. Couldn't relate it. It was too tough for me. It was the mindset that was killing me. So what I decided to do was, let me just get another job to augment, as in to support me and all that. And a friend of mine called me, said he was going to get from his former employee and all that. I said, can I follow you? I'm looking for a job. He said, it's a security job. I said, what else am I doing? It's not a security job I've been doing. He said, oh, okay. So we went along, we went there. And luckily for me, the secretary of the man wasn't there. There was nobody at the front end. So we went in, and my friend asked him and said, where's your secretary? And he said, the secretary just resigned yesterday. So I just said, sorry to intrude. I have this experience. I'm very good at paperwork. Pitched myself. And he said, really? And asked me, he said, when do you want to start? I said, yesterday. He said, okay, start tomorrow. So that was how I started. I was thinking now I'm in the office. That was the goal. I was so happy, so comfortable. But guess what? In 2 months, I lost the job again. That same 2 months, because he had a very jealous wife, and the wife forced him to sack me. So he sacked me. But I didn't leave, because I was like, if I have to go down, I will not go down without a fight. That was it for me. So I had a meeting with him. I said, sir, I noticed that you are doing very well, but what's your 5-year goals? So he looked at me and said, why do you have to ask me that kind of question? So I said, no, I'm not trying to insult you. I feel you can do more and all that. And what he said to me was like, okay, what do you think I can do? And I said, what about real estate? I was doing it back in my country and I really wanted to expand and all that. He said, yes, he tried it, but someone duped him, so he's not going to do it again, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, let's do it this week. Can you allow me go learn how they do it here? Let me go learn, then we can now do the business. He said I should go ahead and learn. So I started going for classes. But guess what? I'm not saying that it's wrong for us to pay money to get educated. But I can also tell you that education, you can get it for free and you'll be fine. I've not spent, let me not lie to you. You might call it anything you want to call it, but I've not spent so much in real estate. And I'm getting the benefit that most people are not even getting. So if you don't have money, I don't think that's an excuse for you not to achieve your goal. I didn't have money at that time, but I really needed to get this knowledge. And I went around, I got it. After 8 months, I went back to my so-called boss then. I said, I think we're good, let's go ahead. And he said, no, I'm not interested again. I was like, okay, so good, what's going on here and all that. So I left him, I let him go and all that, and that was it. And later he called me after 1 month and said, can we still do it? I was surprised. He said, yes, I think I've lost my major contractor. So no, but really, when God is doing stuff or when things are going on, just be calm, because you don't know what God is doing for you, what God's plan is ahead. So I was so sorry for him, but for me, it worked out for my good. And ultimately, it worked out for his good later on. So that's how we started. We started with fix and flip. And then we started with continued with vacation rental. What I wanted to do was to try out every aspect of real estate. He had the money, I had the knowledge, and I had the strength and the resilience. My point here is that for some of us, it's like when we enter a plane or a flight and we are flying, you see some people that are very scared, and you see some people that are sleeping on the flight. The point here is that everybody, whether those ones that are scared and those ones that are not scared, will all get to their destination. But the difference between the two of them is the knowledge that they have. One of them knows that this plane will not crash you to take me to my destination. The other one has an assumption that anything can happen, I can just die. But the point is that they both got to their destination. So my take on this is that Even if you are scared, if you don't get on that plane, you will not get to your destination. Take the leap of faith, go in, just step in, and you will get to your destination. And that was what I did. At the different stages of life, when I had to start and start up again, the only thing that I was looking up to was the vision. I knew the vision, it was so clear because I drew it, I saw it. It was so clear. So that was how we started in different aspects, from fix and flip, vacation rental. Then we went into multifamily. Then in that place, when we were multifamily, we now decided that I think this is a better part. We started reevaluating, because that's what we do. We always try to challenge our status quo. Like I said earlier on, when you start feeling so comfortable at where you are, it might be a sign that you need to just move. So when we're doing those things, I decided that no, we need to challenge our status quo. We can't remain where we are. We need to do something different. So that was when we went full blown into multifamily. And for some of you, if you remember, the topic is from zero to empire. You might be thinking, okay, empire should be like billions and all that. You can define your empire as the way you choose to. For me, my empire is my goal, the goal I want to get. And my goal is a lot of multifamilies. Your goal can be 4 units, your goal can be 5 units. But my own empire is something else that is in creation, and I'm still creating it. So between that time and now, my achievements have been, I was able to get 105 alone. We have no partners in it. Then we are limited partners in 595. And currently we have 224 units under contract. And all this thing happened during the time when things were not clear. So I'm here to just encourage people to say that I don't know at what point where you are. I don't know what is going on, but I know that majority of you did not start from where I started, from the lowest of the lowest, without papers, without money, no accommodation. We stayed in that church for 1.5 years, almost 2 years, without heater. We were feeding from the government. We were on wig and food stamps and all that. We were on all that. I know most of us didn't go through all that here. So if God can help me make this or get to where I am right now, I believe if we are just determined, we can get to that place. Because I'm not here to train anybody. I'm just here to share my experience with everyone that it is possible. You can get to your empire. All you need is a dream. Now, the point is, are we scared? Yes. No matter what level you are, there's an atom of fear. But what keeps me going when there's fear is that my goal, my vision is always bigger than the fear, and it helps me overcome that fear. So at every point in time, how you can overcome your fear is to get a very big vision that the fear cannot even fathom. So that is what I do. And that is how I overcome my fear.
I thank you so much, Bibi. I love what you said about having your vision being so much greater than your fear. I feel like that's something that I've been just noticing more and more within myself as well, because my vision is so big and beautiful that I just can't not do it. I will fall and be behind as much as I need to, but I'm willing to follow my face and to still get to that big old vision. And I love that you said it so eloquently. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I know it must be vulnerable for you to share something like that, and probably even scary, but you're always just going for it, and it's a beautiful spirit. Is there any other words of wisdom for anyone who may be starting out in multifamily space or just commercial real estate, and they're like, okay, what is like the most basic thing I can do? I don't have any money. They're faced with all these limiting beliefs. And obviously, you just tore all those limiting beliefs down, because it's more than possible. But this space feels very pay to play. right now, what would you say to the person who's, I have to pay to play everything in this space?
The only thing I'll say to that person is you need to have a purpose because that's the only driving force. Success on its own needs motivation. So for you to even get to where you're going to, something must propel you. If you don't have that thing propelling you, a plan, a vision or something, a purpose why you're doing it, a major purpose, not just any purpose, then you'll fall along the wayside. So for me, that is a very important aspect.
And that makes sense to have that driving force, because really it's just coming down to commit and the rest will come. Step out in faith and overcome that fear. It's just go. And it's scary every step along the way. I do have one question. When you said that you were able to get into your first deal, how did you sell your value to get onto your first deal?
Okay, first of all, I didn't know my past was preparing me for the future. So we need to start remembering our experiences. What are those things we did in our past that most of us have had successes in our past, but we just forget? We need to start remembering those things. How some of us were best in our class, we're best in this, best in our offices, we've been promoted several times. Whatever it is, there was something you were good at. You need to start bringing that to the front because that was what I did. I remember I was so good at some things from my past. So I had to put it, I was not afraid of anybody in my past. And that means I could talk to the owners, I could talk to brokers, I could talk to anybody. I have an accent, but that didn't even deter me. In short, it even made me unique because now brokers know me a lot because, oh, Bibi is you. So for me, I don't sound like anybody, I sound like myself. So that is it. Your past experience to help to prepare you forward. What are you good at? Stick to it. Multifamily needs all kinds of different resources. You'll be surprised what you'll be bringing on the table is something that the group really needs. So if in your past, your superpower was so big, do not underestimate it. Why don't you put it back to life and see where it will lead you? Those things that happened to you in the past were there for a purpose. That's what I tell people. All my past experience, God allowed me to have it because He knew that they would be useful for me in the future. And again, like I said, if I didn't go through those things in the past, I would not be able to appreciate this. Some people see me as very resilient, I need things done now because you know why? I know where I'm coming from. I know what my past looked like. So I'm like, I have this opportunity, I will not allow it sleep. So that's why I'm very resilient. So your past should be able to mold you to something else.
I love that. You're sending us home with an actionable homework plan of just remembering, honestly, of who we are and what we've been through, and recognizing there's importance to literally everything that's happened to us, which when there's been some bad things that happened to you in your past, that can be a little extra hard to understand or to accept, but it's all there for a reason. And thank you so much for telling your story.
One of my vision is someone gave me the opportunity when I had nothing really to offer. So why don't I pay it forward? So anytime I meet people, I ask them, I don't say, come and do this. I ask them, what can you do? What are you good at? And channel it to what value to bring to our group. So that is how we've been operating. It's what value do you know you have? Bring it on board. We can work with that. And before you know it, you'll figure it out. That's it.
Thank you so much. Bibi did leave us with one last item. Let your vision overcome your fears. Everyone have a blessed night. Thank you for coming. For watching Ladies Night with me, Steph Dablosky. I create wealthier women by providing exclusive access to private equity commercial real estate investments. If you're interested, check out my contact details in the description below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.